Hey guys, Tammy here. And today I want to ask you a question. Are you the better parent? Now, I can almost hear you screaming, "Yes, I am," through the video. And I'm going to tell you why that's a good thing and why that's a bad thing. Before we get started, let me just remind you, if you like this content, you find it helpful, please hit like on this video and also subscribe to the channel so that you're notified when new videos are released. I don't know about you, but one of the things in my life that I know I am good at is being a mom. And, my kids are now 29 and 33. I think they would say the same thing, that I'm a good mom. Of course, we have teenagers. That may not be their response to you, so don't ask, but, or dad, whichever the case may be for you. But I know I'm a good parent. Of all the things that you can insult me on in my life, I may not be, the best at different areas, but I feel like I'm a really good parent. And when we go into court and we feel like we are the better parent, it's sometimes frustrating when we feel like we can't get the court to see that we think the children would be more stable in our care because we're the better parent. I'm going to break this down for you as to why the court doesn't come at it this way. Our level, our bar, so to speak, for parenting, especially if you do feel like you're the better parent in the relationship, is really high, right? Like, I want to provide the best environment, and I want to hear my children and validate them emotionally and, teach them to survive in the world and make sure their health and nutrition needs are met and that they feel loved and, all the different things according to your value system that you pour into your children, their education, their training, maybe their religious values, whatever that is for you and your family, you're pouring all of those things into your child because you believe that that's part of being the best parent that you can be. And a lot of times when we're in relationships, the way our family duties, our household duties are divided up is that a lot of times one parent takes on more of the parenting and another parent will often take on more of the providing. Sometimes it's more equal, but even when it's equal, there's certain aspects of that parenting that one of us is usually better at than the other, right? So by default, we tend to divvy up the duties. And so when we have been that parent that's been more involved, that's done more things, that's been more hands-on, and now we're suddenly separated from that other parent, we kind of go, well, wait, when the kids go into that other world, they're not going to have all these things that I usually do for them. They're going to be missing out on all these different aspects that I used to provide. And so we're kind of coming to the court with this idea of, look, I've been doing all this all along. I'm the better parent. I'm the one that's involved. I'm the one that does all of this. And so giving the other parent equal parenting time when I'm the better parent just doesn't make logical sense to me at all. And I have a lot of people say, well, it's not in the kid's best interest to be with the other parent. Well, one of the things we have to understand is that it isn't best interest in terms of what we think is in the child's best interest as their parent. Best interest is actually a legally defined term in every state. And if you go out and Google best interest of the child in your state, you will get a summary of what they look at when they're considering best interest. And for pretty much every state I've ever come across, it's generally something along the lines of, absent health, safety, and welfare concerns, here's what we believe is what schedule we believe is in the child's best interest. Now, some states that's joint. Some states just say 50-50 straight off. Some states say, well, there should be a primary and then, the non-custodial parent should have a minimum X amount of time. And a lot of times that time varies based on the age of the children and all these different things. But for for every state I've ever seen, there's some form of, if there's no health, safety, and welfare concerns, here's what we think is in the child's best interest. Okay. So that's the legal definition of it. Then you look at, okay, well, what are health, safety, and welfare concerns? Because if you don't have any of those, then it defaults to this schedule, whether that's a 50-50 or whatever. So when you're looking at those factors, we're talking about, a child welfare kind of level of bar of parenting. It's sort of like, okay, do you feed them? Do you clothe them? Do you house them? Do you not beat them? Do you not sexually molest them? It's a really low bar, not really the bar most parents hold themselves to, hopefully, thankfully. But it is sort of that minimum sort of child welfare level that the courts are looking for. And we, as the better parent, are holding ourselves and the other parent to this level. Only, the court kind of goes, that's fantastic if the child has an awesome parent like that. But it's not what's required for one parent or the other to be eligible for parenting time, so to speak. This isn't like, oh, you get a bigger cookie if you got an A on the test instead of a C. No, all the C people are treated just the same as the A people. We all get the same size cookie. That's kind of how this works. And the reason for that is because parental rights are constitutional, right? So even let's take something as simple as what you believe is in your child's best interest as far as nutrition. And maybe the other parent doesn't do that. And you argue, well, I'm the better parent because I'm more on point with the nutrition and I pay more attention to that. And the other parent just lets them, do all these different things that I don't think are good for them. And so I should have more parenting time. Well, what if your idea of nutrition is that the children should be vegan? Okay. And that is some people's idea of nutrition, right? But the other parent may feel like, well, no, kids need protein. They need protein for their brain and their muscles to grow. And vegan doesn't give them enough protein. So I think vegan is actually harmful. And I think this other, sort of, meat-based diet is a better option. Okay. Again, I mean, this is one of those topics that we could go out and we could find hundreds of studies on either side, right? That say this is good, that's good. Eggs used to be bad. Now eggs are great. The dairy, the gluten, all these different things around diet. And the reason that, this is a good example is because we do all have so many varying ideas of what's quote unquote best. And let's face it, part of this comes down to your own body, right? And what works for you. Dairy might bother one person, but not another. One person eating vegan might be able to get plenty of protein in because of the types of foods they like. Another person eating vegan may not get hardly any protein at all because, they don't like those types of foods, that would give you that amount of protein in a vegan diet. So there's all these different sort of variables in that. And as a parent, you're constitutionally allowed to parent the way you see fit, assuming, again, you're not beating your children, you're meeting that minimum child welfare level of standard. And so the court doesn't get into judging which aspects of parenting are quote unquote better and not. The court is trying to figure out, is this child in any kind of danger? If this child isn't in any kind of danger, then this is the default in our state of how we do it. And in California, they tend towards joint custody. Like that's just kind of the default. If there's no concerns on either side, we tend towards a joint custody. And that can feel really unbelievable for somebody who feels like they've been the one that's poured everything in and that they're the better parent. So I think it's always good to go in and point out to the court all of the positive aspects, or a large portion of the positive aspects of your parenting. I think that's always more effective than attacking the other side. But again, keep in mind that this isn't a contest, right, of who's the better parent. It's more about stability for the kids and who has time to parent and all these different types of components that are things that we're not necessarily thinking of. So the courts are coming at this from a very legal analysis type of process. So it's important to understand in your state what that involves. And, again, if you Google best interest of the child in your state, that would give you a good sort of high level understanding. Of course, talking to a local practitioner, a lawyer in your area or whatever is also going to be another way that you can start to understand how judges come at this, and how they view things. It's real important, though, to have that sort of legal aspect when you're going through these child custody things, because you just simply being the better parent isn't enough of an argument, for you to get more parenting time just by default. You can't just go, oh, I'm the better parent. If I prove that, I'll get more parenting time. It's not that straightforward. You have to educate yourself on those aspects that are relevant to the court in these situations. If you'd like to learn more about my coaching services, you can go to divorceuniversityonline.com/VIP-coaching. You can learn about the different options on that page, and I will see you guys next time. We'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the